Rundown. Today is February 23rd. Hofstra Intramural Champions. Thank you for the T-shirt. It's not a hard move. I love these shirts, and you'll probably be asking to borrow them. Producer Hank wanted me to have this be sponsored by Clem Goes to Latvia. That is now available on the website. You can watch Fat Clem Megabus take on Latvia. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't had time. I'm hearing good things. We also have Daddy Dixie, who's, what is his name now? The Dixie father?
It's Caleb.
I was going to say, it's Caleb Wesley.
I had a talk with him. I told him those kind of moves should be tested out on some of the other guys before we just start calling ourselves dad father. Because that, I still don't know what that means. So he's Caleb now.
Like the Professor Morale probably would have worked too, which was his actual nickname. But Caleb also works. That's
I was going to say, when you have a name like Caleb, you just go with Caleb.
Right. He's not Dan, Dave, Kevin. Like he's Caleb. So, and I said people are going to call you whatever they call you. They'll probably still call you Daddy Dixie, but no one's calling you Dad Father.
Right. And it's stupid. So Caleb has a great video out at the flea market. A lot of content. Let's get into the rundown. Dante Fowler. So he's got his wife or girlfriend who he has a kid with, baby mama, and then the girl on the side. They meet as he's walking back to the apartment, and he, instead of trying to break them up, it appears that he basically encouraged them to fight for his affection, for his love. What do we got on Dante Fowler? I hate that hat. Go KFC.
I love this move for two reasons. One, this is how chicks should have to deal with all their shit. Like if every
can we
guy
talk
there,
about that hat?
What about it? It's just a winter hat.
There just can't be two beanies at once. That's the rule.
And that's a horrible hat.
It's just a plain fucking.
Did
it's
you
like
get that?
the
That looks
wear.
like you got that out of like a claw machine, you know, with all the animals. And you just landed on that hat.
Well, this is straight from your store. This is what Welker has sent me to actually make hats with. So
aren't you wearing the same hat, Dave?
No.
Yeah, it's like literally. This is literally from the Barstool store.
Yeah, mine's got like a design and stuff. Mine's nice.
And mine's just the plain version.
Yours
I
stinks.
just grabbed it off my desk because Welker sent a bunch. It's the same exact thing you're wearing. There's really absolutely no reason to talk about this hat at all.
You look now, Kevin. You look like low pressure Jerry.
Yes, that's why I put the hat on.
Keep it off.
That's why I put it on, because I didn't want to fucking comb my hair. I have all these samples here. Portnoy hat. I'm doing low pressure Jerry.
I
Fine.
don't know if you could tell, boys, but someone here showered today. No big deal.
Yeah. Fancy Dan over there. Look at me and my fucking clean hair.
You wear that shirt 9 times a week. Because I have the same one, and I always notice when you wear it. But that is your go-to.
You wore this shirt
flannel.
like 6 times in San Francisco.
You wear that shirt so much that I'm afraid to wear it.
Let's
talk about Dante Fowler. We're off topic.
Let's talk about
Dante.
the irony of a guy wearing an intramurals penny trying to talk shit about another person's shirt. Let's talk about that for a second. You hypocritical fucking midlife crisis idiot. Dante Fowler.
That was one of those ones where you just kept on going. It's like, how many more words is he going to get in here? Oh, okay, all right.
That was funny, Kevin. I think that was funny. I'm laughing. It was good.
What were we talking about? Dante Fowler. This is how all chicks. If you could solve all your problems like this, have your wife fight your fucking mother-in-law, have your girlfriend fight the old friend, your ex-girlfriend. This is how chicks should always solve their problems. And I love Dante Fowler just deflecting, because usually this is all directed at the guy. He pulls a Mills Lane, he pulls a referee, and now all of a sudden it's all about those two. Takes all the heat off himself. It's a brilliant move all around, and I think it should be done more often.
Big Cat.
Great move. If anyone's hating on it, I don't know, like who is. If someone is out there hating on this, fuck them, because this is exactly right. You got to let this beef go out right in front of you. That way they aren't going to keep beefing. My only complaint is, this is an old John Taffer tip. Taffer has the freeze out where he gets like a cold rag and he puts it on the back of a chick's neck when there's a cat fight going on, and then they release their grasp. He needed the freeze out on deck just in case shit got wild.
And I assume what I always assume, anytime you hear a fight like this, you got to assume the baby mama or the one who is officially related or in the relationship is always going to win, because they're generally bigger, fatter, uglier, stronger, meaner than the hot girl that you're just
They
looking
have
at.
more to lose, too.
Yeah. And you got it, but it's more so like the hot chick is who you're hooking up with. The uglier chick who you're tired of is the big alley cat on the street. Johnny Football last night retweeting 3 a.m. I guess some tweets from our boy Charlie Sheen. And Charlie Sheen, remember when I was thinking this? Charlie Sheen, we sold a shit ton of winning shirts. Like he used to be like the cool hot thing, winning. That was winning. That was huge.
I think that was our first like non-team sports shirt. It was just like a pop culture shirt, and he killed it.
It was. Then he became self-aware and did that whole comedy tour that was like the worst.
Right, and he's got AIDS, right? And he like intentionally gave AIDS.
And
to
actually,
people,
do you remember our original shirt wasn't winning? It was we went with a different phrase, and everybody yelled at us for not doing winning. We put like tiger blood or one of the other quotes from his rants, and it didn't work. And everyone told us to change to winning.
And we had the blue face that kind of made no sense, but it did because I saw it on the internet somewhere. Anyways, what do we got on Johnny Football, Big Cat?
I'm actually going to throw this back at you, Dave, because we've never even talked about it. I feel like you've been busy and you've had shit. Where are you at with Johnny Football? Because it's a tough crew to be in, and I don't think you've ever been more wrong about someone than you have been about Johnny Football.
Well, I'm going to say this loud and clear. I don't condone beating women. KFC.
Good that we got that out of the way.
I mean, what do you want me to say? He's. You can't condone his actions if true.
Say you were dead wrong about everything.
No, I don't think it's over. I don't think it's over. But he's got to. I don't know how much truth there is behind the rumors. I actually got, and there's going to be, one of those stories, and I got mad at the guy. But I got a Johnny Manziel story this weekend from somebody we know, and they're like, but they prefaced it, you can't tell anybody the story. I said, then don't tell me. I don't want to know. You just put me in a rotten situation to be in that you just texted me out of the blue with the story I'd like to tell, but now that I can't tell. So now everyone is in the same boat as I am. You can't go around. You can't go around hitting and beating and doing shit to women. It's hard to. It's impossible to defend that. The fact he hasn't been arrested yet for that, maybe it's not as bad as it seems, but it seemed pretty fucking bad. Speaking of bad, this new report on Peyton Manning that came out in Pro Football Talk the other day, that she actually went to the sexual assault center the day this happened, and they read her report, and it sounds like he did exactly what they say. So I'll turn this to you, KFC. What do you think of Peyton Manning?
That was perfect. I mean, Dave, come on, you're the best. You're the best at that. You are. I'm telling that's a genuine. Like that was a flawless transition from being dead wrong to then changing it to about your enemy.
It's Trump every single time. Like, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this over here. Let's talk about Jeb being a loser. Oh, okay. We'll talk about Jeb being a loser. It's just classic.
You literally did that old trick where it's like, look at my thumb, and then you slap him in the face.
I care about women's rights in this poor Nottingham girl who's getting attacked from all corners of the internet, and turns out she actually did what she said she did. Let's talk about Cespedes' car. KFC, what is this car? Are you nervous about the Mets? By the way, and let's talk about something here. Disrespect. The Mets, that's who's getting disrespect. Everyone's handing the Cubs the World Series, almost like they didn't see what happened in the NLCS, that their outfield, what has changed on these two teams that all of a sudden the Cubs are guaranteed to go to the World Series?
The Cubs made a lot of moves.
They made a lot of moves, Dave.
Like what?
They got Jason Hayward to play center. They got Zobrist to play second. They got John Lackey as an actual third starter. I mean, those are pretty big. The biggest hole the Cubs had was situational hitting, and they weren't great defensively in the outfield. They just filled a lot of their holes, and no third starter.
I don't like being a heavy favorite like that in baseball. I can't remember the last time a heavy favorite won.
If anything, no matter what moves the Cubs made, no matter how good they may end up being, their odds are just not. I mean, it's just not a good bet right now. The Mets I've seen anywhere from 9-1 to like 12-1, which, considering they're going to have all their pitching together for the first time ever, Cespedes for a full year, hopefully steps forward from some of the young guys. That's the bet to make right now. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen. I'm saying if you're talking about odds and gambling, that is a much better pick than the Cubs. Cespedes and this car is crazy. I don't care about it. I mean, I've seen him with this car before. I didn't even think to blog it, and Twitter was just like coming all over themselves today for this fucking stupid motorcycle car. It's a dumb little car. It fits his weird like fucking superhero persona. But I don't want to talk about this car anymore. It's stupid.
Big Cat.
Dumb car. More importantly, I agree with you, Kevin. I don't want the Cubs to be the World Series favorites. That's not the pressure that you want.
101 games is like, you
But
can't do that for anybody.
Right. So, and also you have to understand that the Cubs are always their odds are always going to be skewed in Vegas because everyone wants to own the ticket. When the Cubs win the World Series, they say I bet on them. Mets fans though have been like chirping me from the clouds. So they're so scared, and it's like such an inferiority complex that every time you and I converse on Twitter, Kevin, they like come out of nowhere being like, "We swept the Cubs. We swept the Cubs." I didn't make the fucking predictions, man. Like, I don't make the projections. I wish the Cubs weren't projected to win 101 games. That's crazy. Like, Mets fans, what's up with that? You guys feel, like, so angsty.
I think a lot of people were all over the Cubs' dick, and then we, like, absolutely destroyed you, so we just like to remind you of that.
Some Mets fan tried to say that everyone predicted the Cubs to sweep the Mets last year, and when it goes the other way, you have to let people know. It's like, no one did that. No,
I think a lot of people were expecting a hard series, but I feel like
the Mets. Come on.
I think the Cubs were
just listen.
And we talk about no. This is the case though. This is always the situation with the Cubs for the same reason you just said. People want to have the ticket. They're all about the Cubs when they're good, and it was all about Yabos and all about that lineup, and they got destroyed.
Yeah, but you guys.
But they still sang like we are the world after they got swept and held hands, so it was a good season.
Stop. You dying on that hill is like one of the saddest things ever. The Mets, though, Kevin, it's just like, I understand why you guys act like you do with the Yankees. Like, you guys are being so weird to the Cubs. Like, I don't even hate the Mets. The Mets kicked the Cubs' ass. What do you want me to say? I think the Cubs are a better team this year.
This is the we are the world stuff. It's like, yeah, you beat us. It's no big deal.
Well, what are you supposed to say when you get swept?
You're supposed to get mad, Dan. I get mad.
Yeah, dude.
I get mad. I fucking take my pillow. I try to suffocate myself in situations like that. I will say, Joe Madden, he's a good manager, and I agreed with him 1,000% when I think it was yesterday, was like where these extra workouts are working too hard, they're too uptight. That is the truth. The pressure the Cubs are putting themselves, they're like a glass. You touch them, they may break if they get off to a bad start.
My biggest concern is, well, my number one concern is lesser Arrieta getting hurt. But my number two is if they get a bad start, the media, because last year was all gravy and they were the darling of MLB and everyone came up at the same time and went way out of proportion with like where we expected them to be. If they stumble, shit. The lamp is going hot on them fast. So
also,
I agree.
even if Arrieta is healthy, he's just not going to be that good, as good, because it's just impossible to do it again.
He's still going to be good.
Yeah,
but
I
was all over
going
that
to be
last
almost a regression from him too, no matter what.
Commercial break number 2. I don't even know if these commercial breaks are working anymore. I see people say they never get a commercial break. If you don't get a commercial break, you are taking money out of my own pocket. People think, actually, Peter Chernan's pocket, which trickles down. But what people don't seem to understand is if we don't get the second commercial, then we're losing money on this rundown. We are giving you content, and we are paying to do it. It's insane. So if you don't watch this second commercial, you should report yourself. Second commercial, go. Okay. Our boy Roger Goodell back in the news. This guy. Is there anything this guy will not do? You're shaking your head at him or at me, Kevin?
You, man.
He stole 100.
Nobody wants to talk about like the CBA and
he
like,
stole $120 million. He stole $120 million.
Dude, the owners did. Did you read the thing? The owners did.
No, he did. The owners don't do. The owners pay him to be a criminal, which he gladly does. But he did it. None of the owners' fingerprints are on this. This is Goodell. Goodell's a crook. Oh, I'm crazy.
That's
Goodell's
his
a crook.
job, though. He's supposed to stand there while the owners do shady shit and then say, "Look, Goodell's an idiot. You're falling for it, Dave."
I'm falling. I don't care. It's Goodell's fingerprints. Put him in jail and get the next guy. That's fine. Once you get caught, this is Enron. That's what this is. This is Enron. You guys are laughing up. Well, I'm crazy. He stole $120 million. We know Greg Olson. He's our friend. He got robbed.
But why? Even if that's the case, which we've just explained how it's not, why would you think that this is the place to talk about it? Why would Barstool Sports be talking about revenue sharing and the CBA and like the role
the commissioner? The commissioner of the most powerful commissioner in the biggest league in the world just got caught red-handed stealing $120 million. This makes what that Sepp Blatter guy did, who we talked about, look like child's play. Looks like he maybe stole a piece of cake at a bakery. This guy stole $120 million. You guys are going to laugh it off. Why are we talking about it? Because if we don't talk about it, who will? This guy deserves to be in jail. Fine.
Wasn't it like a little wasn't it like a tax loophole? I mean, it's a fuck.
He made up a rule. It's white collar crime, Dan.
Kraft and all those guys just written all over it. They did this. Come on.
It's white collar crime.
By the owners.
By Roger Goodell. Jesus, you guys are so naive. I'm not saying the owners. I'm not saying the owners weren't in on it, but he's the guy who's putting the pen on the paper. Throw this guy in jail. Gronk. This is a story today.
Cry talk. That was your cry talk. Goodell cry talk.
This is a story. This is a story today. This is a story today. And it started kind of yesterday, but I saw a Houston Texans player mention it. A lot of people now, and I don't know if you'd say this is a Gronk double standard or this is the new Cam Newton thing. Whenever anybody does anything, it's like, could Cam have done that? That's the new barometer, I guess, in sports. Like, what would have happened if Cam was Dante Fowler during that fight? What would have happened if Cam had a party boat? The Gronk double standard thing, and although I have seen the Gronk if it's Manziel, but Manziel started like supposedly hitting women, so it's not really Gronk's partying. He hasn't changed. The double standard, I guess it's a little bit of a double standard, but the weird thing with Gronk is it's flipped because he did get in trouble with it. He just didn't stop doing it, and now people like it. They get page views, they get clicks. Your girl Sarah Spain, which I mentioned, she said there was nothing hedonistic about the Gronk cruise. That's the biggest lie ever told in the world. What do you got on the double standard, KFC?
Gronk is dopey. That's what it comes down to. He comes off, he's likable. He doesn't come off as like cocky and arrogant the way that Johnny Manziel did, and the way that Cam Newton does when he's dancing in your face after a touchdown. Gronk is always that, like, goofball, dopey, doesn't even realize what's going on. So nobody takes his dancing and partying as, like, I'm rubbing it in your face that I'm Gronk and you're not. That's the difference. I mean, and also Gronk goes out there and backs it up every single time he plays. That's always a huge part of it. But it's this level of, like, it's not malicious, it's not arrogant, it's just Gronk being Gronk. That's the pass he gets.
I would say that's a good answer.
If people are trying to say that white people play by different rules than black people, no shit, dude. Like that's I'm not saying it's right, but is that what people's argument is? Like, I agree that happens sometimes. For Gronk, Kevin's right. His stupidity helps him out in this case where he doesn't. It doesn't seem like he has a bad bone in his body, so it doesn't come from any kind of like malicious place or trying to take advantage of women or anything like that. He's just a big Labrador, like we said. You can't get mad at a Labrador. And I actually thought about this last night. I don't think any of this passes if they don't win the Super Bowl last year. I think that gives you, once you have a ring, you kind of can get away with whatever you want, because it's like you can't say he doesn't perform and he doesn't win and he doesn't care about football first. Once you get that ring, you basically are set for life.
And he had a monster game in the game they lost to Denver. So, I mean, he was the best player on the field. So those things I would agree. Because he did get murdered when they lost, when he was injured after the Super Bowl, the Giants. And we had that video of him basically doing the same exact thing he's doing on the boat, except he did it in the party. Gronk's greatest attribute is he has acted basically the same since he's been drafted in college, regardless if the cameras are on him or if they're not on him. So, I mean, that's a tribute to the guy.
I do think the Super Bowl ring matters more than people realize, because instead of saying if Cam Newton does this, would people's reaction be the same? If Russell Wilson did this, I don't think people would be that upset, because they'd be like, the dude's a winner. He's won. He puts it, like, you got to win first.
Right. And it certainly varies person to person. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think when you say, and I off the top of my head, he's retired. People may not, but like Charles Barkley, I could see like doing, people laugh it up just as much. Like, there's certain guys that just...
He's consistent and he's never phony about it, so people actually just take it for what it is and they don't make a big deal out of it.
Right. Last one, Monday Night Raw, big story. My favorite wrestler, Shane O'Mac, love him, was back. I saw some of us flipping around, and then I did watch like his highlight tape, which if you didn't watch the Shane O'Mac highlight tape was insane. because he looked like maybe the best wrestler of all time. We also had Harbaugh going bananas. And there's another guy, I do not believe Harbaugh is ever putting on an act. Like, he was trying to get the crowd riled up. So it was a big night for wrestling. I'm not a big wrestling guy anymore. I almost texted you, Dan, but I didn't want to, like, upset. We're going to have so many people in New York. But we'll be in Halloween. So the Mean Street Posse is almost like a no-brainer Halloween costume idea to just go around as the Greenwich Mean
Do
Street
you still have the neck thing?
The what?
The neck. Remember when?
Who was that? Was that Joey Abs or Pete Gas? It was her.
I can't remember who got hurt, but yeah, Shane O'Mac is one of those wrestlers that the reason why he is so beloved, he had every right to just not wrestle the way he did. And he was like, fuck this. I'm jumping off the highest thing. I'm doing the craziest stunts. The dude was going to be a millionaire no matter what. He didn't have to do that. And the son of the owner, and he comes out and he does all that. And then having this like break where you don't know what he's doing. You see him at the Masters with Rory and whatnot. But last night he comes out, it was so electric. And I agree. Kevin and I were talking too. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time.
Yeah, like real athletes included. Not just like wrestler funny shit. Like, he's just one of my favorite people ever. He's unbelievable at what he does and incredibly entertaining. Taker, Shane O'Mac, Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania it's a 50-year-old dude and a guy who hasn't wrestled since like 2009.
It's Royce Gracie, Ken Shamrock.
That has potential for straight up death. Which I think Undertaker wants to die actually wrestling in the ring, so I don't think that's a big deal. I think Shane O'Mac would gladly go out actually wrestling.
Dude,
I'll be glued to the TV for WrestleMania just because of those two.
Shane O'Mac, I'm thinking about how it would work, but I wouldn't rule out him jumping off that big jumbotron that Jerry has. I don't know how it would work, but would you be shocked if Shane O'Mac figured out a way to do it? That's the kind of guy he is.
And every time you or Kevin say Shane O'Mac, I'm reminded how simple yet brilliant. You want to talk about nicknames? Shane O'Mac is literally maybe the most perfect nickname. I wonder who gave him that. If people just call him Shane-O. Like, hey, Shane-O, like his whole life. But Shane O'Mac is so perfect. It defies perfect. It's the most perfect nickname ever. Last one, Undertaker. I don't know if our producer, Hank, will be able to dig this up. Still, one of my favorite moments of all time was after we went to WrestleMania and The Undertaker lost. And we were sitting in the airport the next day, and this poor girl was sitting in the airport, and she had this huge sign that said Undertaker. What was his record at the time? Like 23-0 or something. And she's just sitting there with this sign that was prepared for when he won. Just crushed, just sitting there with this Undertaker 23-0 sign the day after, like still in her Undertaker gear, just sitting alone, slumped in her chair in the New Orleans airport.
The Undertaker losing in that WrestleMania was stunning, and it's so perfect too because Hank and I have a well-documented history of going to games together and losing, and we went to Undertaker's one WrestleMania loss. Dude was undefeated in a fucking scripted reality show, and we went to his one loss.
That girl, honestly, I thought she was just going to die in the airport. That's the rundown. Anything after show? No.
You got anything?
No, I don't got anything. No.
You got nothing? Dig, Dave, dig. Oh, how's the pack? Let's just do that.
The what?
How's the pack?
Much better. I took some Advil last night. It's getting much better. I was having, you want to talk about a terrible feeling? I couldn't sneeze last night. I tried to, at the end, I'm like, I should Vine this. It was unbelievable. I get to and then I couldn't get any more air, and it would just go away. You want to talk about one of the worst feelings you can have? Not being able to let go of a sneeze is, I won't wish that upon Hitler. I mean, that is a terrible fucking feeling.
Dude. I mean, I don't even know anymore with your injuries.
What do you mean?
I don't even know what this was. How did this happen?
I don't know how it happened.
You're talking to me about how you can't get sneezes into your lungs.
I couldn't breathe deep. It's exactly what happened when I had my heart attack. But I knew the sensation this time. I pull a muscle right here, right over my heart, and I can't like breathe deep. I can now. Awesome
You're
rundown.
unbelievable.
All right, thanks, guys.
Oh, come on, Davey.
No, I'm not mad. It was a good rundown. It was a quality effort.
I thought it was a great rundown.
Okay, bye.